Welcome back to The Rich Nonprofit. This is straight talk for mission-driven women. You know that you want to build something. You've had this idea, you feel the pull, and you're finished waiting. But then you sit down to figure out the structure of your nonprofit and you hit a wall. Do I start a nonprofit? A foundation? What's the difference? Which one is right for what I'm trying to do? And then if you Google it and it gives you a headache, suddenly going back to someday sounds reasonable again. So today I want to clear this up, not with legal jargon, because no, thank you, not with a textbook breakdown, but with a conversation about which vehicle, nonprofit or foundation, fits your vision and your life. Because that's what this is. It's a vehicle. A foundation, a nonprofit, they are both vehicles because they are structures that carry your mission forward. And the mission is the point. The structure serves the mission. So choosing the wrong vehicle doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're going to be frustrated and you'll be doing work that doesn't match what you envisioned. So you're going to feel stuck in a structure that doesn't fit. So I want to make sure that you pick the right one. So going back to just the simplest level, here's the difference. A nonprofit runs programs and provides services directly. You and your team are doing the work. You're hiring staff, you're creating programs, you're serving people face-to-face or through your team and the infrastructure that you build. You are in it. A foundation gives grants to other organizations or individuals. You are not doing the programs yourself. You're funding other people's programs. You are essentially the money source. You're strategically deploying resources to these organizations that are doing the work on the ground. So basically, that's it. That is the core distinction. One does the work, the other funds the work. So here's where it gets interesting, though, because which one that is right for you has nothing to do with one sounding more impressive. It has everything to do with how you want to spend your time, how much control you want, and what kind of leader you are. So let me walk you through these questions. First, do you want to be hands-on or do you want to be strategic about giving out money? And I mean this honestly, not what sounds better to the public or to your friends, but how do you want to spend your days? If you are the kind of person who wants to build the program and hire the team, see the people you serve walk through the door, and watch the change happen up close, then you want a nonprofit. You want to be in the work. You want to create programs that don't exist yet, or programs that you can make better that others are trying to do. But if you're the kind of person who wants to identify great organizations and fund them, and then make decisions, hopefully, about where the money goes to create the most impact, then you want a foundation. You're sort of one step removed from the daily work, but you are directing resources with intention. Neither is better, they are just different, and they attract different kinds of leaders. So the second question is, do you want to build a new nonprofit, or do you want to amplify something that already exists? Some of you see a gap, a program that doesn't exist yet, a solution nobody is implementing, a model that you've been designing in your head for years. You want to build it because it's not there. That's a nonprofit. But some of you look at the landscape and see organizations already doing good work that just need more resources, better funding, probably smarter strategy and more support. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You need to fuel those wheels that are already turning. And that is a foundation. So the third question is, how much time can you realistically commit? Not how much time you wish you had, let's be real, how much time you actually have. Because running a nonprofit, especially in the early years, is a significant commitment. You're building operations from scratch. You're developing programs. You're hiring and fundraising, marketing, managing a board. It requires consistent hands-on attention. And running a foundation is still work, especially in the beginning, but it's different work. You are researching organizations that you want to work with. You are raising funds and making funding decisions. You're doing oversight. It's meaningful and it does require strategy, but the operational demands are different. So if you're running a full-time business and you want to add impact work alongside your business, a foundation might be more realistic. But if you're willing to shift your time and you're at a point in your business where you can step back, then a nonprofit might be the move. Fourth question, what's your leadership style? Some of you need to build things yourself. You need your hands on it. You need to see every piece, make every decision, and shape every program. You want that control. If someone else is doing it, you're going to get frustrated because you know how it should be done. That is a nonprofit founder. You need to be the one creating it and then eventually hire people to help you. But some of you are really great at empowering others. You can identify talent, fund it, and trust them to execute. You don't need to be in every meeting. You just need to know where the money is going and that the right people are doing the work. That makes you a foundation leader. And you know yourself. Don't fight your leadership style. Choose the vehicle that works with how you lead. So this client I worked with inside a momentum strategy intensive, she came in knowing that she wanted to create impact, of course, knowing that she was ready to start, but she didn't have any idea which structure made sense. So we didn't start with structure. We started with purpose. I walked her through what I call my 4 P's framework: your purpose, people, promise, and then platform. So we got clear on why she was doing this, who she was called to serve, what specific change she was committed to creating, and then we got to the platform question, which is also about visibility and where you want to be visible as you do this work. But another part of the platform question is, do you want to run your own programs? Do you want to hire a team and build events and serve people directly? Or do you want to fund other organizations already doing the work? And this, took her a minute because you really want to be intentional with this. So she got really quiet and she said, I want to be in those rooms. I want to see the faces. I want my staff doing this work because then I know what this program needs to look like and how we can pivot and grow as we serve our community. So that was her answer. She didn't want to fund someone else's version of her vision. She wanted to build it herself. She wanted to create the programs, hire the people, be the one responsible for the outcomes. So we designed her nonprofit. And I'm not saying nonprofits are better than foundations. It's just that in this case, a nonprofit was the vehicle that matched her vision, her leadership style, and her commitment to serving people directly. Now, if she had said, I want to find 3 organizations already doing great work in this space and fund them so that they can scale, then we would have designed her foundation. We would have talked about funding and grants because that would have been the right vehicle for her vision. So it really is about what matches you, your leadership style, and your time. I've been asked before, well, can I start with one and switch to the other? My answer here is sort of. They are different legal structures, so you can't just flip a switch. But your impact work can evolve. You could start with a foundation and learn the landscape, build relationships with other organizations doing the work, and then realize that you want to create your own program. So then you would start a nonprofit alongside the foundation or shift direction. Now, this is not legal advice. This is just what I have seen in my work working with nonprofit leaders. Also, you might want to start a nonprofit and run programs for a few years and then decide that you want to fund other organizations doing similar work, maybe in other cities. You could add a foundation arm or transition your model, especially if you want to step back. Your vehicle can change as your vision evolves. You are not locked in forever. But if you are going to start, you do need to start somewhere. And starting with clarity about what you want now is going to save you a lot of headaches later. Let me give you a few other things to think about. If you want your name on your nonprofit, both options work. You can have a foundation with your name on it or a nonprofit with your name on it. That is more of a branding decision, not a structural one. If you care about control, and most entrepreneurs do, a nonprofit gives you more operational control because you are designing the programs. And like I said, you're hiring and working with staff. You're making decisions that run the day-to-day operations of your nonprofit. Now, a foundation is going to give you funding control because you're going to decide where that money goes, but you are trusting other organizations to execute. Now, if you care about sustainability, both require thought. Nonprofits need diverse funding streams and strong operations and a plan for growth. And foundations need an endowment or consistent funding source and a clear grant making strategy. So, neither one of these is going to run itself. So sustainability is very important. And then if you care about legacy, both are going to build legacy. A nonprofit builds legacy through programs and the lives that you are changing directly. A foundation builds legacy through the organizations and the initiatives that you fund over the years. Now, I don't want you to think, well, I'll just pick what seems easier, because neither one is easy. Both require strategy, commitment, time, and resources. And if you're choosing a foundation because it seems like less work than a nonprofit, you're choosing for the wrong reason. And if you're choosing a nonprofit because it sounds more impressive, you're choosing for the wrong reason. So choose based on how you want to lead and the kind of impact that you want to create. And most importantly, we women, let's choose on how you want to spend your time and energy for at least, let's say, the next decade, because that's what this is. At least a decade-long commitment. You're building a nonprofit or a foundation that's meant to outlast your initial excitement. So pick the vehicle that you're going to want to drive in for a long time. I know that was cheesy, but it is true. And if you're not sure, well, that's where I come in. And that's where the 4Ps framework comes in, because I help you decide before you create your roadmap and take the action steps to move on your vision. So think about it. If you want to be hands-on, or if you want to help build something new, or if you just want to amplify something that is existing, and how much time you can realistically commit. And what's your leadership style? These are fair questions to ask yourself, because you would ask them before you start a business. So you definitely should ask them before you start a nonprofit or a foundation. And if you want space to talk this through with other women who are in the same place, figuring out how to build, what to do, come join Nonprofit Ready on Telegram. It's my free community, and it is full of women who are finished with the researching. They're ready to move. And I'm going to drop tips like this in there and have hot takes each week and tell you what's going on in the nonprofit world and where your style, leadership style, and visibility could really help people. The link is in the show notes. You know you are ready to build a nonprofit, a foundation, your vision. Now it's just up to choosing the right vehicle to carry it. You could do it. And I will see you next time on The Rich Nonprofit.